What if the giants before the flood were not just tall humans, but the terrifying result of a broken boundary between heaven and earth? Before Noah's Ark, before the waters covered the world, ancient texts speak of beings so powerful, so violent, and so mysterious that their name still sparks debate today: the Nephilim. Were they giants? Were they warriors? Were they the children of fallen angels? Or were they something even stranger? Today, we're going to break down the Nephilim, not with wild internet theories, but with a clear look at the mystery behind the story. In this video, we'll explore 3 questions: where the Nephilim came from, why they were feared, and why their story still haunts readers thousands of years later. Part 1. Where did the Nephilim come from? Let's start with the famous mystery. In Genesis 6, right before the story of Noah and the flood, the Bible mentions the sons of God, the daughters of men, and the Nephilim. And then, it moves on pretty quickly. That's what makes the passage so fascinating. It feels like we walked into the middle of a movie, heard someone say, "The giants are here," and then the scene immediately changed. Excuse me? Giants? Can we maybe talk about that for one more minute? The Book of Enoch tries to fill in that missing backstory. According to Enoch tradition, the Nephilim were the offspring of the Watchers, heavenly beings who descended to earth, and human women. In this version, the Nephilim are not simply big people. They are the result of a forbidden union. They represent a world where the boundary between heaven and earth has been broken. And that is the key idea. The Nephilim are not just scary because they are large. They are scary because they should not exist. Their existence is a sign that creation has gone out of order. Heaven's order has been violated, human life has been corrupted, and the world before the flood is moving toward disaster. Now, different traditions and scholars have debated what the Nephilim really were. Some see them as literal giants. Some see them as mighty warriors or violent rulers. Some connect them directly to fallen angels. But for storytelling, the important thing is this. In the ancient imagination, the Nephilim were not normal. They were a symbol of power, violence, and a world spinning out of control. Part 2. Why were the Nephilim feared? According to the Book of Enoch, the Nephilim grew into beings of enormous strength and appetite. And no, this is not the fun kind of giant from a children's story who lives in a cloud castle and has questionable furniture choices. These giants are described as violent, destructive, and impossible to control. They consume the Earth's resources. They oppress humanity. They bring chaos and destruction. Imagine living in a world where human violence is already spreading. And then, beings far stronger than humans rise above everyone else. No army can stop them. No wall feels high enough. No king looks powerful anymore. This is why the Nephilim story works so well as a pre-flood warning. It shows a world where power has completely broken free from moral restraint. The Nephilim are not just monsters in the background. They are what happens when forbidden knowledge, corrupted desire, and unchecked power all collide. Remember the Watchers? They gave humanity knowledge that people were not spiritually ready to handle. Weapons, enchantments, secret arts, and signs of the heavens. Now combine that with the rise of violent giants, and the ancient world becomes a pressure cooker with no safety valve. In a simple way, the Nephilim represent a nightmare that still feels familiar today. Strength without compassion, intelligence without wisdom, and power without accountability. That's why this story hits harder than it first appears. On the surface, yes, it's about ancient giants. Very cool. Very thumbnail friendly. But underneath, it is about a world where the strongest beings are also the least righteous. And honestly, that fear has never really gone away. Every generation asks the same question in a different form. What happens when those with the most power have the least self-control? In the Book of Enoch, the answer is terrifying. The world becomes so corrupted that judgment is no longer a distant idea. It becomes inevitable. Part 3. Why do the Nephilim still fascinate people today? So, why are people still obsessed with the Nephilim? Part of it is obvious. Giants are naturally fascinating. The moment you say, giants before the flood, people lean in. It sounds like a secret chapter of history, but the deeper reason is that the Nephilim sit at the intersection of several huge mysteries. Angels, humans, the flood, forbidden knowledge, ancient violence, divine judgment. They raise questions that do not have easy answers. Were the Nephilim literal giants? Were they symbolic of violent rulers? Were they remembered through ancient stories of heroes and monsters? Or were they part of a larger spiritual worldview that modern readers have mostly forgotten? And this is where we need balance. It's easy to turn the Nephilim into pure conspiracy content. Aliens, secret bloodlines, hidden giants under every mountain. The internet has plenty of that already. But the ancient story is already powerful without needing to exaggerate it. The Nephilim matter because they show us how ancient people imagined evil becoming organized, embodied, and almost unstoppable. They are not just big bodies. They are big consequences. Consequences of rebellion. Consequences of forbidden desire. Consequences of knowledge separated from wisdom. In that sense, the Nephilim are less like random monsters and more like a warning sign planted before the flood. A sign saying, this is what happens when heaven's boundaries are ignored and human violence is amplified beyond control. And maybe that is why their story refuses to disappear. Because every time humanity creates something powerful, we face the same question. Will this serve life, or will it become another giant we can no longer control? The Nephilim may belong to the ancient world, but the warning behind them feels disturbingly modern. So, quick recap. The Nephilim were mysterious beings mentioned before the flood, often understood as giants or mighty ones. And in the Book of Enoch, they are connected to the Watchers, the angels who fell from heaven and corrupted the earth. Their story is not just about size. It is about corruption, violence, broken boundaries, and the terrifying cost of power without wisdom. If you want more cinematic breakdowns of ancient biblical mysteries, forgotten texts, and the hidden world behind Scripture, subscribe to The Lost Scrolls. In the next episode, we'll uncover one of the darkest names in the Book of Enoch, Azazel, the fallen angel who taught forbidden knowledge.